The college library had always been Sophia's sanctuary, a place where time seemed to slow, and the outside world faded into irrelevance. It was a haven of whispered knowledge where dust motes danced in the golden glow of afternoon light streaming through tall, arched windows. The air was thick with the scent of aged parchment and ink, a comforting perfume that wrapped around her like an old friend. She loved the feel of ancient books beneath her fingertips, their leather-bound covers softened by years of quiet handling. Here, among forgotten words and lost stories, she felt most alive. One particular rainy Tuesday, as thunder rumbled faintly in the distance, Sophia found herself wandering deeper into the labyrinthine rows of towering bookshelves. The familiar sections of the library, well lit and frequently visited, gave way to dimly lit aisles where fewer students dared to venture. She liked it that way. The further she walked, the quieter the world became. And then she stumbled upon something unusual. Tucked away in a secluded corner stood a lone, towering bookshelf. It was oddly pristine, its dark wood polished and free of dust, unlike the others nearby that bore the signs of age and neglect. Intrigued, Sophia ran her fingers along the spines of the books. They were impossibly smooth, as if someone had only just wiped them clean. She hesitated, a faint prickling sensation creeping up her spine. Something felt off. At the very bottom of the shelf, nestled between two much larger tomes, a book caught her eye. It had no title, at least none she could see, its cover shrouded in shadow. Sophia crouched down, curiosity taking hold. She reached for the book and pulled. It was heavier than she expected, its weight solid and strangely unyielding. As she lifted it, a deep, low rumble vibrated through the floor beneath her feet. The bookshelf trembled, and then, with a slow, deliberate groan, it shifted. A breath caught in Sophia's throat. Behind the shelf, where there should have been only a solid wall, was a gaping darkness. A secret passage. A wave of cold air rolled out, thick with the scent of damp earth and something else. Something ancient, something unsettling. The kind of scent that made the hairs on the back of her neck rise. She should have turned back. Every logical thought in her mind screamed for her to walk away. But an inexplicable pull, a curiosity that bordered on compulsion, urged her forward. Sophia stepped through. The moment she crossed the threshold, the air around her grew colder, clinging to her skin like ghostly fingers. The musty scent intensified, thick and heavy, making her stomach twist with unease. The floor beneath her feet was uneven stone, slick with moisture, and each cautious step echoed eerily in the silence. The passage opened into a vast, circular chamber. Dim light flickered from a single gas lamp mounted on the wall, casting long, restless shadows that danced across the towering bookshelves lining the room. Unlike the tidy, organized stacks in the library above, these shelves overflowed with books of all shapes and sizes, their bindings cracked with age. Some were wrapped in worn leather, others bound in metal, and a few, Sophia's breath hitched, appeared to be covered in something that looked unsettlingly like human skin. A cold dread crept into her bones. At the center of the room, a massive, ornately carved table stood like an altar. Upon it lay a single book, its pages spread open, filled with symbols and illustrations that writhed and shifted as if they were alive. Sophia swallowed hard. The air felt thick here, pressing against her chest, making it hard to breathe. She reached out, fingers trembling, and traced the intricate carvings on the table's surface. The wood was unnaturally cold, sending an icy jolt up her arm. A whisper, low, ancient, unintelligible, brushed against the edges of her mind. Her gaze snapped to the book. Its pages shimmered faintly, their symbols glowing with a dull, pulsating light. The shapes seemed to rearrange themselves beneath her stare, their meaning just beyond her grasp. An eerie hunger bloomed within her, an insatiable need to understand. It was as if the book was calling to her, urging her to read, to uncover the secrets hidden in its pages. She knew she shouldn't, and yet she did. The moment her fingertips brushed the aged parchment, a sharp, searing pain lanced through her hand. The symbols flared, burning like cold fire, etching themselves into her skin. Sophia gasped, stumbling back, but the book held her in its grip. A deep, guttural voice echoed through her skull, rasping words in a language she did not know but somehow understood. Her breath came in short, panicked gasps. The room shifted. Shadows twisted and coiled, deepening into something darker, something alive. The air grew thick with an invisible force, pressing against her like unseen hands. The whispering around her grew louder, a chorus of mocking voices rising in a feverish chant, and then she saw it. A book, larger than the rest, bound in jet-black leather, sat on a pedestal at the far end of the chamber. Its cover gleamed with sinister silver lettering, "The Voice of Hell." The very sight of it sent a violent shiver down her spine. The air around it crackled with a strange, unseen energy. She felt an overwhelming urge to open it, to discover the knowledge hidden within. The hunger clawed at her mind, an obsession she couldn't understand. Her rational mind screamed for her to run, but her hand moved of its own accord. Fingers trembling, she traced the book's title. A surge of electricity shot through her body, knocking the breath from her lungs. The book groaned as if in pleasure and creaked open on its own. The pages fluttered, revealing elegant, spidery script in a language both foreign and familiar. The words shimmered alive with dark intent, a phrase formed in her mind. She spoke it aloud. The moment the last syllable left her lips, the gas lamp flickered wildly, plunging the room into writhing darkness. The shadows stretched, twisting into grotesque shapes. A growl rumbled through the chamber, deep and primal, vibrating in her very bones. The air turned frigid. From the darkness beyond the bookshelves, something began to take shape. It was enormous, its form shifting and unfathomable, its eyes twin embers of malevolent fire. The growl deepened, morphing into a low, guttural roar. Sophia stumbled back, her heart pounding. The walls seemed to close in, the bookshelves pressing closer, the very room warping around her. She turned to flee, to escape the nightmare she had awakened. But the passage she had entered from was gone. In its place stood an unbroken wall of books. She was trapped. And the creature was coming. A scream tore from Sophia's lips, but no one was there to hear it. The shadows surged toward her, tendrils of darkness twisting, grasping, whispering her name. The room shuddered, the towering bookshelves groaning as if the library itself was alive. A deafening roar filled the chamber. Then suddenly, silence. She gasped, stumbling backward. The suffocating dark vanished. The air was still. The flickering gas lamp cast long, trembling shadows. She was back, standing at the entrance of the hidden passage, staring at the cursed book resting on the table. It looked untouched, its silver-lined leather unmarked, as if nothing had happened. But Sophia knew better. She remembered. Her breath came in shallow gasps. The symbols burned behind her eyes, their meaning just beyond her grasp. She knew. If she touched the book again, the cycle would begin once more. Panic clawed at her chest. She turned, searching for an escape, but the passage behind her was still sealed shut. The walls of bookshelves stretched endlessly, their spines watching her like silent sentinels. And then she saw it. A second book. Small, forgotten, wedged between two dusty tomes on the nearest shelf. Unlike the cursed tome, this one was worn, its leather cracked with age. Faint golden lettering shimmered beneath the dust. The Way Out. Sophia's hands trembled as she reached for it. The whispers hissed in warning. The chamber seemed to breathe, the air growing thick, heavy with unseen weight. The cursed book pulsed, angry, desperate, alive, as if it knew she was hesitating. A choice. She could open the cursed book and fall back into the cycle, forever trapped in the library's grasp. Or she could take the second book, a path unknown, a chance to break free. Her fingers hovered over both. The library waited. The choice was hers. And then,